The morning started like any other at Kensington Palace. Kate woke up feeling different, though she couldn't quite put her finger on what was wrong. She had been pushing herself harder than usual lately, taking on more royal duties and public appearances. The stress of maintaining her perfect public image while dealing with personal challenges had been weighing on her mind. William had already left for his early morning meetings with palace officials. As the future king, his schedule was packed with important discussions about upcoming state visits and charity events. Kate understood the demands of royal life, but sometimes she felt overwhelmed by the constant pressure to be perfect in the public eye. She made her way to the breakfast room, where the morning light streamed through the tall windows. The palace staff greeted her warmly, as always, but Kate noticed her hands were trembling slightly as she reached for her cup of tea. She dismissed it as tiredness and continued with her morning routine. The first sign that something was seriously wrong came during her meeting with the charity coordinators. Kate had been passionate about mental health awareness and children's welfare for years. Today's meeting was crucial as they were planning a major event to raise funds for underprivileged children. The conference room was filled with enthusiastic volunteers and professional organizers, all eager to hear her ideas. As Kate stood to present her vision for the charity event, she felt a strange sensation wash over her. The room seemed to spin slightly, and she gripped the edge of the table for support. The coordinators looked concerned, asking if she was feeling all right. Kate forced a smile and assured everyone she was fine, attributing her dizziness to skipping breakfast. The meeting continued, but Kate found it increasingly difficult to concentrate. Her vision became blurry at times, and she felt as though the walls were closing in around her. She excused herself for a moment, stepping into the hallway where she could breathe more freely. The cool marble floor felt stable beneath her feet, but her heart was racing faster than normal. When she returned to the meeting, Kate tried her best to focus on the important work ahead. The charity event meant everything to her, and she didn't want to disappoint the dedicated team who had been working tirelessly to make it a success. However, as the discussion progressed, she found herself struggling to follow the conversation. Words seemed to echo in her head, and she felt disconnected from everything around her. The afternoon brought additional challenges. Kate had a photo session scheduled with a renowned photographer for an upcoming magazine cover. The shoot was meant to showcase her elegance and grace as a future queen. She had been looking forward to this opportunity to highlight her charitable work and connect with the public on a deeper level. As she posed for the camera, Kate felt the familiar symptoms returning. The bright studio lights seemed harsh and overwhelming, making her feel lightheaded. The photographer, sensing something was wrong, suggested they take a break. Kate appreciated his kindness but insisted on continuing, not wanting to appear weak or unreliable. The makeup artist noticed Kate's pale complexion and offered to touch up her foundation. As Kate looked at herself in the mirror, she was shocked by what she saw. Her usual rosy complexion had turned ashen, and there were dark circles under her eyes that even the professional makeup couldn't completely hide. She wondered when she had started looking so exhausted and worn down. Throughout the photo session, Kate's personal assistant, Sarah, kept a close eye on her. Sarah had worked with the royal family for over a decade and knew Kate better than most people. She could see that something was seriously wrong, but Kate continued to insist she was fine. Sarah made a mental note to keep monitoring the situation closely. The evening brought no relief from Kate's mysterious symptoms. She had dinner alone in her private quarters, as William was still tied up in meetings that had run late into the night. The palace chef had prepared her favorite meal, but Kate found she had no appetite. Every bite seemed to require tremendous effort, and she eventually gave up trying to eat. As she sat by the window overlooking the palace gardens, Kate reflected on the events of the day. She had always prided herself on being strong and capable, able to handle whatever challenges came her way. The role of a future queen required immense strength, both physical and emotional. and she had never wanted to show any signs of weakness. But tonight felt different. The symptoms she had been experiencing were becoming impossible to ignore. Her body felt heavy and weak, as though she was fighting off some invisible force. She considered calling the palace doctor, but worried about creating unnecessary drama or concern among the staff and security team. Kate's mind wandered to her children and the impact her condition might have on them. As a mother, her primary concern was always their well-being and happiness. She couldn't bear the thought of them seeing her in a vulnerable state or worrying about their mother's health. The weight of responsibility felt crushing at times, especially when she wasn't feeling her best. The palace around her was quiet now, with most of the staff having finished their duties for the day. The silence gave Kate time to think about her recent schedule and the mounting pressure she had been under. Between her royal duties, charity work, family responsibilities, and public appearances, she realized she had been running on empty for weeks without taking proper care of herself. As the night progressed, Kate's symptoms seemed to intensify rather than improve. She felt increasingly weak and disoriented, struggling to maintain the composure that had become second nature to her over the years. The realization that she might need help was both frightening and humbling for someone who had always been the strong one in difficult situations. She thought about William and wondered how he would react if he knew what she was experiencing. Their relationship had weathered many storms over the years, and he had always been her rock during challenging times. But with his own enormous responsibilities as future king, she didn't want to add to his burden with her personal struggles. The clock in her sitting room chimed midnight, marking the end of what had been one of the most difficult days Kate could remember. As she prepared for bed, she hoped that a good night's sleep would restore her strength and clarity. Tomorrow would bring new challenges and responsibilities, and she needed to be ready to face them with the grace and dignity expected of someone in her position. Little did Kate know that tomorrow would bring events that would test her strength in ways she had never imagined, and that her mysterious symptoms were just the beginning of a much larger challenge that would require all the courage and support she could muster. The next morning brought no relief for Kate. If anything, her condition had worsened overnight. She woke up feeling dizzy and nauseous with a persistent headache that made it difficult to focus on anything. The beautiful morning sunshine that usually lifted her spirits seemed harsh and unwelcome today. William had returned late from his meetings the previous night and was already up early, preparing for another busy day of royal engagements. He noticed Kate seemed quieter than usual during breakfast, but attributed it to the stress of their demanding schedules. The couple had learned to give each other space when dealing with the pressures of royal life. Today was particularly important because Kate had a major public appearance scheduled at Westminster Abbey. She was set to deliver a speech about mental health awareness to an audience of healthcare professionals, charity workers, and members of the press. This event had been planned for months, and Kate had spent weeks preparing her remarks. As she got dressed for the event, Kate struggled with the simple task of putting on her jewelry. Her hands were shaking more noticeably now, and she had to sit down several times to steady herself. Her lady-in-waiting, Margaret, offered to help, but Kate politely declined, not wanting to admit how weak she was feeling. The car ride to Westminster Abbey was torture for Kate. Every bump in the road made her feel more nauseous, and the motion of the vehicle seemed to worsen her dizziness. She closed her eyes and tried to focus on her breathing, using the meditation techniques she had learned over the years to manage stress and anxiety. Her security detail noticed she seemed unwell during the journey, but Kate insisted she was fine when they expressed concern. She had perfected the art of maintaining her composure even when she was struggling internally. The last thing she wanted was for news of her illness to leak to the press and create unwanted speculation about her health. Upon arriving at Westminster Abbey, Kate was greeted by hundreds of people who had gathered to hear her speak. The crowd's enthusiasm and warm welcome usually energized her, but today she felt overwhelmed by the attention and noise. The cameras flashing and reporters calling out questions made her feel disoriented and anxious. Inside the historic building, Kate made her way to the speaking platform. The magnificent architecture and solemn atmosphere of the Abbey normally brought her peace and inspiration. Today, however, the high ceilings and vast space seemed to amplify her feelings of weakness and vulnerability. She gripped her speech notes tightly, hoping they would anchor her to something stable. As she began her speech about the importance of mental health support, Kate's voice started strong and confident. She spoke passionately about breaking the stigma surrounding mental health issues and the need for better resources for those who were struggling. The audience was captivated by her words and genuine commitment to the cause. Midway through her speech, Kate felt the familiar wave of dizziness washing over her again. This time, it was stronger than before, and she had to pause for a moment to regain her composure. The audience waited patiently, thinking she was taking a dramatic pause for emphasis. Kate continued speaking, but her voice began to waver slightly. The symptoms continued to worsen as her speech progressed. Kate's vision became blurry, and she found herself struggling to read her notes. The words on the page seemed to dance and blur together, making it nearly impossible to follow her carefully prepared remarks. She began to speak from memory, hoping her years of public speaking experience would carry her through. As Kate reached the most important part of her speech, where she was supposed to announce a major new funding initiative for mental health services, disaster struck. The room began to spin violently around her, and she felt her knees buckle beneath her. The podium seemed to be moving away from her, even though she knew she was the one who was swaying. The audience gasped as they watched their beloved future queen struggle to maintain her balance. Kate reached out desperately for the podium, but her coordination was completely off. Her carefully prepared speech notes scattered to the floor as she fought to stay upright. The proud, composed woman who had captured the nation's heart was clearly in serious distress. Security personnel immediately moved toward the platform, but Kate waved them away with whatever strength she had left. She was determined not to show weakness in front of the cameras and the important audience who had come to hear her message. Her commitment to her duties ran deeper than her concern for her own well-being. Meanwhile, back at Kensington Palace, William was in the middle of an important meeting with government officials when his private secretary burst into the room. The normally composed staff member looked panicked as he whispered urgently in William's ear. The meeting had been discussing crucial matters of state security, but nothing was more important than Kate's well-being. William's face went pale as he learned about Kate's condition at Westminster Abbey. Without hesitation, he stood up from the conference table and apologized to the government officials, explaining that he had a family emergency to attend to. The future king's protective instincts kicked in immediately, and nothing else mattered except getting to Kate's side. His security team quickly arranged for his motorcade to rush to Westminster Abbey. As William sat in the back of the speeding car, his mind raced with worry and guilt. He thought about all the signs he might have missed that morning, wondering if he had been too focused on his own responsibilities to notice Kate's declining health. Back at the Abbey, Kate was struggling to conclude her speech, despite her worsening condition. The audience could see she was unwell, but they were amazed by her determination to finish what she had started. Her voice grew weaker with each word, but her message about the importance of mental health support remained clear and powerful. The head of her security detail approached the platform discreetly, ready to intervene if necessary. Kate's lady-in-waiting stood at the side of the stage, wringing her hands with worry and prepared to rush to her aid at any moment. The entire atmosphere in the Abbey had shifted from celebration to concern. As Kate spoke her final words, thanking the audience for their dedication to mental health awareness, she felt her strength completely abandon her. The faces in the crowd became a blur, and the sound of applause seemed to come from very far away. She knew she was about to collapse, but she was powerless to stop it from happening. The moment everyone had been dreading finally arrived. Kate's legs gave out completely, and she began to fall toward the floor. The audience cried out in alarm as they watched their future queen losing consciousness before their eyes. Cameras captured every moment of her vulnerability, though many photographers stopped taking pictures out of respect for her dignity. Just as Kate was about to hit the ground, strong arms caught her and held her securely. William had arrived at the perfect moment, having run through the Abbey corridors the moment his car stopped outside. He had pushed past security and protocol to reach his wife's side, not caring about the breach of royal etiquette his dramatic entrance represented. The relief on Kate's face as she looked up into William's worried eyes was visible to everyone in the Abbey. Even in her weakened state, she found strength in his presence and the knowledge that she wasn't facing this crisis alone. William's arrival marked a turning point in what had been the most frightening experience of Kate's royal career. William's strong arms wrapped around Kate as he gently lifted her from the platform floor. His face showed a mixture of relief and deep concern as he held his wife close to his chest. The packed audience at Westminster Abbey watched in respectful silence as the future king cradled the future queen, their love and devotion to each other evident even in this moment of crisis. "I've got you," William whispered softly into Kate's ear, his voice barely audible above the concerned murmurs of the crowd. "You're safe now. I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere." His words seemed to give Kate some comfort, and she relaxed slightly in his protective embrace, trusting completely in his strength and care. The palace medical team, who had been summoned the moment Kate's condition became apparent, quickly arrived at the scene. Dr. Thompson, the royal physician, immediately began assessing Kate's vital signs while she remained in William's arms. The doctor's calm professionalism helped reassure everyone that Kate was receiving the best possible care. William refused to let go of Kate even as the medical team worked around him. His protective instincts were in full force, and he wanted to be her anchor during this frightening experience. He stroked her hair gently and continued speaking soothing words, helping to keep her calm and focused on his voice rather than the chaos surrounding them. As Dr. Thompson completed his initial examination, he determined that Kate needed immediate medical attention but was in stable condition. The combination of exhaustion, dehydration, and extreme stress had overwhelmed her system, causing her to lose consciousness. The doctor recommended immediate transport to a private medical facility for more comprehensive care. The journey from Westminster Abbey to the hospital became a carefully orchestrated operation. William insisted on riding in the ambulance with Kate, holding her hand throughout the entire trip. He watched her face constantly, looking for signs of improvement or distress, ready to provide whatever comfort and support she needed. Kate drifted in and out of consciousness during the ambulance ride, but each time she opened her eyes, William was there with an encouraging smile and gentle squeeze of her hand. His unwavering presence gave her the strength to fight through her weakness and focus on recovering her health and strength. At the private medical facility, Kate was immediately taken to a comfortable suite where she could receive treatment away from public attention. William never left her side, even when the doctors suggested he might want to rest or attend to other duties. His commitment to staying with Kate was absolute and non-negotiable. The medical team ran comprehensive tests to determine the exact cause of Kate's collapse. Blood work, heart monitoring, and neurological examinations all showed that she was suffering from severe exhaustion and stress-related symptoms. The doctors explained that her body had simply reached its limit and forced her to stop and rest. As Kate's condition stabilized, she began to feel embarrassed about the public nature of her collapse. She worried about how the incident would be perceived by the press and the public, and whether it would undermine confidence in her ability to fulfill her royal duties. The perfectionist in her was struggling to accept that she had shown vulnerability in such a public setting. William sensed her concerns and addressed them directly. He reminded Kate that showing vulnerability made her more human and relatable, not weaker or less capable. He spoke about how the public's love for her would only grow stronger when they saw her courage in continuing her speech despite feeling unwell, and how her experience might help others who were struggling with similar challenges. The outpouring of support from the public was immediate and overwhelming. Social media filled with messages of love and concern for Kate, with people sharing their own experiences of stress and exhaustion. Many praised her dedication to completing her speech despite feeling unwell, seeing it as evidence of her strong character and commitment to her duties. Members of Parliament, charity workers, and healthcare professionals who had been present at Westminster Abbey spoke to reporters about Kate's courage and dedication. They emphasized how her speech about mental health awareness had been powerful and important, and how her personal struggle with stress and exhaustion only reinforced the significance of her message. The royal family rallied around Kate and William during this difficult time. The Queen, despite her own advanced age and health concerns, visited Kate personally and offered her wisdom about managing the pressures of royal life. She shared stories of her own challenges over the decades and reminded Kate that even monarchs need to take care of their health and well-being. Prince Charles and Camilla also showed their support, temporarily taking on some of Kate's scheduled appearances to allow her time to rest and recover. The entire family demonstrated the importance of supporting each other through difficult times, setting an example for families across the nation about the value of love and care during health crises. As the days passed in the medical facility, Kate's strength gradually returned. The combination of proper rest, medical care, and William's constant support helped her body recover from the exhaustion that had overwhelmed her system. She began to feel more like herself again, though she remained humbled by the experience. William used this time to reflect on how he could better support Kate in managing the incredible pressures of royal life. He realized that he had been so focused on his own responsibilities that he hadn't been paying enough attention to the toll their lifestyle was taking on his wife's health and well-being. Together, they developed new strategies for managing their demanding schedules and supporting each other through challenging times. They agreed to be more open about when they were struggling and to prioritize their health and family time alongside their royal duties. The crisis had taught them valuable lessons about the importance of self-care and mutual support. When Kate was finally ready to return to public duties, she did so with a new perspective on the importance of authenticity and vulnerability. Her first public appearance after her collapse was at a mental health charity event, where she spoke honestly about her own experience with stress and the importance of seeking help when needed. The public response to Kate's openness was overwhelmingly positive. People appreciated her honesty and found inspiration in her willingness to share her struggles. Her experience became a powerful example of how even those who seem to have perfect lives can face challenges, and how seeking support is a sign of strength rather than weakness. William's quick response and unwavering support during Kate's crisis became a symbol of their strong partnership and deep love for each other. The image of him catching her as she fell and staying by her side throughout her recovery resonated with people around the world, showing that true love means being there for each other during the most difficult moments. Their relationship emerged stronger from this challenging experience. Kate learned to accept help and support when she needed it, while William became more attuned to the pressures Kate faced and more proactive in providing the care and attention she deserved. Together, they demonstrated that even royal couples face real challenges and that love, support, and communication are essential for overcoming difficult times. The incident at Westminster Abbey became a turning point for Kate and William, teaching them valuable lessons about health, partnership, and the importance of being authentic with the public. Their willingness to be vulnerable and human made them more beloved than ever, proving that true strength comes not from being perfect, but from facing challenges with grace, courage, and the support of those who love us most.